To save Old School RuneScape from dying of absolute boredom, Jagex must legally reinstate the Falador Massacre as an official annual Purge event. Hi, I'm Dunkle, and you've found the hottest takes you'll ever find on Old School RuneScape. If you want to support this channel, please subscribe. Right now, Gielinor is suffocating under a blanket of safety. You chop trees, kill goblins, and hoard wealth in a bank that never gets robbed. The game is completely sanitized. We lost the thrill of unpredictable danger. Sure, we have the wilderness, but that is a predictable cage match. You cross a ditch. You know what happens. I want pure chaos bleeding into the places you feel secure. Think about June 6th, 2006. Duriel 321 did not just break the game, he injected it with adrenaline. We remember that day because it felt dangerous. So here's my proposal. Once a year, for 24 hours, the code breaks on purpose. Safe zones vanish. Banks become war zones. You either lock your account indoors and pray, or grab your best gear and join the bloodbath. We need one day where the rules do not exist and nobody is safe. It will fix the economy, clear out the bots, and give us back the panic that made this game legendary in the first place. Let us be brutally honest about what Old School RuneScape has become today. It is not an epic fantasy adventure anymore. It is a glorified spreadsheet wrapped in a medieval point-and-click interface. Look at how the average player operates. You do not explore. You execute algorithms. You sit in your chair playing to the beat of a metronome. You sweat over 3-tick fishing, perfectly flicking your protection prayers just to save a few pennies worth of prayer potions. You optimize every single game tick. You measure your overall happiness in experience points per hour. The entire world of Gielinor has devolved into a sterile, risk-free accounting job. Today, the absolute biggest threat to your account is your own mouse double-clicking by mistake. Everything is solved. Everything is safe. Now rewind the clock back to that famously cursed day in 2006. Think about the pure, unadulterated panic. Duriel 321 did not care about your max hit formulas. He did not give a single damn about your perfectly arranged bank tabs. When he marched into Falador Square wearing that legendary green party hat, he unleashed raw, unscripted terror. He shattered the sacred illusion of the safe zone. People were not sprinting for the city gates because they missed a prayer flick on a predictable boss. They ran because another human being broke the very fabric of reality and was actively liquidating their hard-earned gear. It was not a heavily polled update. It was a terrifying anomaly. And that is exactly why we still obsess over the massacre. We build literal statues to commemorate a bug abuser. We make endless documentaries about his killing spree. Why? Because deep down, beneath all this modern obsession with hyper-efficiency, you are totally starved for actual stakes. You are desperate to feel something real again. You want your heart to pound so hard it hurts while you frantically mash your teleport runes, only to realize the magic book will not save you. Modern players loudly claim they want balanced drop tables and consequence-free death mechanics. They are lying to themselves. What we secretly crave is the fear of God put right back into us. We need the utter chaos of knowing that the rules can shatter. Let us look at the actual psychology behind multiplayer games. When a developer removes all risk from an environment, something terrible happens to the social fabric. Other players stop being your friends. They become annoying obstacles. They crash your Slayer spot. They chop the magic tree right before you can swing your axe. They buy out the shop stock you needed. In a completely safe world, Old School RuneScape turns into a massively multiplayer game of silent solitaire. Nobody talks. Nobody bonds. You just glare at your screen and wish everyone else would log off so you can grind in peace. But introduce a massive, unpredictable threat and human nature violently shifts gears. If you're enjoying this psychological deep dive so far, drop a quick subscribe to the channel so we can keep tearing this game apart. Now, back to the social science. Behavioral psychology in gaming proves that communities do not bond over shared safety. They bond over shared trauma. Think about the golden age of the early internet. Friendships were forged in the fires of mutual survival. When a literal god of death like Duriel 321 starts wiping out half the map, that silent efficiency instantly dies. You stop caring about experience rates. Suddenly, the random guy next to you is not competition for a runite rock. He is your brother in arms. You frantically type warnings to each other. You huddle in corners. Strangers form impromptu barricades and desperately try to block doorways to protect low-level players. That is raw, unfiltered community building. Cooperative safe zones create polite strangers. Surviving a digital apocalypse together creates lifelong brothers. A yearly Falador Massacre forces us to look up from our spreadsheets and actually talk to one another. It forces us to rely on the person standing next to us. When the bank walls fall and the blood starts spilling, we stop being mindless grinding machines. We become a community again. All it takes is a little bit of scheduled, unhinged violence to bring us back together. But let us put down the campfire guitar for a second and talk about cold, hard cash. Community bonding is great, but we have a massive mathematical crisis on our hands. The old school RuneScape economy is fundamentally broken. Right now, Gielinor is suffering from terminal hyperinflation. Think about it. When was the last time a piece of endgame gear actually left the game? Never. You die at a boss, you pay a tiny fee to death, and you get your shiny Bando's chestplate right back. The game generates thousands of twisted bows and sights every single year. Absolutely none of them are ever destroyed. Wealth just pools at the top. The market gets incredibly bloated. Items lose their prestige because every veteran has a bank vault stuffed with max gear. Jagex knows this. They tried to slap band-aids on the problem. They added a tax to the Grand Exchange. They introduced boring, uninspired item sync mechanics. It is like trying to stop a flood with a wet paper towel. We do not need a tiny tax. We need a macroeconomic wildfire. Enter the annual Falador Massacre. This is not just a holiday event. It is a highly aggressive, covert monetary policy. Imagine a 24-hour global purge where every single death drops all of your items to the floor. No safe zones, no gravestones, no mercy. When thousands of players start blasting each other in the streets of Varrock, gear gets lost. A lot of it. People will die in obscure alleys. High-tier items will despawn on the ground. Trillions of gold worth of hoarded pixel wealth will vanish into the digital void overnight. It is the ultimate organic item sink. You fix the severe inflation crisis in a single day. And the absolute best part? The player base will willingly volunteer for the financial slaughter. They will gladly risk their entire net worth just to experience the sheer adrenaline of full loot combat in places they used to feel perfectly safe. We can cure a completely stagnant economy with a healthy, beautiful dose of pure, unbridled destruction. Let us take this absolute madness one step further. If we are doing this, we cannot leave the ultimate safety net intact. I'm talking about the banks. Right now, the bank chest is a holy sanctuary. It is an impenetrable magic box where cowards stash their riches before hiding in a corner. We need to rip that safety net to shreds. During the 24-hour purge, bank chests must become entirely breachable. Picture this. Massive, bloodthirsty clans wielding battering rams, breaking into the Grand Exchange vault, and literally looting other players' bank tabs. If you leave your cash stack inside the Varrock West Bank, you're kissing it goodbye. You're probably sweating just thinking about this. Good. That means you're finally awake. So what do you do when the system is compromised? You do exactly what real pirates did. You withdraw everything of value, grab a simple spade, and start walking. Jagex needs to implement a mechanic where you can physically bury your items in the dirt. Suddenly, the entire map of Gielinor transforms into a paranoid, high-stakes treasure hunt. You will find max-level players sneaking off into the deepest, darkest corners of the Caridian Desert or the toxic swamps of Mauritania, desperately trying to dig a hole for their ultra-rare drops. But wait, it gets crazier. Clans will not just raid banks. They will start hunting the hoarders. Imagine roaming death squads, patrolling the woods with tracking spells and shovels. We will see psychological warfare. Players will start holding each other hostage. Imagine a clan trapping a wealthy merchant in a basement, threatening to execute his low-level friends unless he drops the exact map coordinates to his buried treasure. People will create fake stashes filled with bronze daggers and explosive traps just to spite the grave robbers. We turn a boring clicking simulator into a medieval cartel simulator. You will constantly look over your shoulder, terrified that some random scout just watched you bury 10 years of grinding under a random cactus. This is the exact kind of unhinged, heart-pounding paranoia that modern gaming desperately needs. We force everyone off the grid and make them fight for their lives in the dirt. But burying your gold in a swamp is only phase one of this beautiful sociological experiment. When you strip away the safety of the game engine, human nature fills the void with cold, calculated extortion. If you cannot trust the banks, and you cannot defend your own buried treasure, you have to buy security. We are going to witness the glorious birth of the Gielinor Mafia. I am talking about full-blown, player-driven protection rackets. Forget about Jagex taxing the Grand Exchange. You're going to pay a literal toll in nature runes just to walk across the Lumbridge Bridge. Imagine the sheer panic of a casual player trying to bake a pie in the cooking guild. Suddenly, 3 absolute units in maximum melee gear kick down the door. They do not kill you right away. They offer you a mandatory service. You hand over a weekly tribute of 50,000 gold pieces, or they turn your character into a permanent floor decoration. That is not toxicity. That is a thriving, unregulated free market. Massive clans will stop fighting over meaningless boss spawns and start claiming entire cities as their personal turf. The wealthiest players will not hide in the dirt. They will hire private mercenary armies to build human walls around their skilling plots. You will see literal mob bosses running criminal syndicates out of the Falador party room. They will dispatch enforcers to collect taxes from the terrified woodcutters in Sears village. If you refuse to pay the boss, your entire clan gets blacklisted. Dedicated hitmen will hunt you down across every single server. This completely rewrites the social fabric of the game. You're no longer a solo adventurer on a noble quest. You are a helpless civilian living under cartel rule. We will see shifting alliances, backroom deals, and brutal gang wars flooding the streets with dropped loot. Entire sub-economies will spring up around hiring bodyguards, paying off corrupt scouts, and buying assassination contracts. We replace boring, static quest dialogue with real political espionage. Players will spend months infiltrating rival crime families just to leak the coordinates of their hidden armories. This is not just a survival game anymore. It is a full-blown sociological masterpiece, built entirely on the constant threat of extreme localized violence. Let us take this beautiful nightmare to its absolute breaking point. Losing your bank is devastating, sure, but true terror requires hitting an old school RuneScape player where it actually hurts. We must weaponize the one thing they value more than life itself. If you die during the Purge, you do not just drop your loot. You take a permanent, randomized skill level drain. Imagine taking a Dragonclaw's special attack to the face and watching your 99 runecrafting instantly plummet back to level 1. Thousands of hours of miserable clicking wiped from existence in a single server tick. That is not just a penalty. That is soul-crushing, irreversible damage. And it will turn old school RuneScape into the greatest spectator blood sport in human history. Think about the current state of streaming and competitive gaming. It is totally stale. Nobody outside the bubble actually cares about professional tournaments anymore. But imagine a live stream where a man is betting 5 literal years of his life on a single player versus player encounter. You will have millions of casual viewers tuning in, screaming at their screens. People who have never chopped a virtual tree in their entire lives will host watch parties. They will gather just to see some hyper-efficient nerd lose half his stats to a random guy wielding a crystal halberd. It is pure digital gladiatorial combat. We are talking Super Bowl viewership numbers. The entire MMO genre is currently on life support. Every modern game tries to coddle you with participation trophies and daily login rewards. This is our chance to flip the table. We broadcast raw, unedited heartbreak to the masses. When a legendary clan leader gets ambushed and loses 20 overall levels in front of 300,000 live viewers, you create gaming history. Energy drink sponsors will throw millions at the broadcast. Jagex becomes a household name again overnight. We do not need another raid. We do not need a new continent. We need real, tangible loss. We need to strap the game engine to a rocket and blast it right into the mainstream media. A yearly event with permanent account destruction is the exact radical shock therapy required to save the entire genre. So let the Purge begin. Let the experience points burn. Give us the blood, the sweat, and the total statistical resets.